Richard, our question today is about koans, Buddhist koans. A friend recently mentioned that I need to solve some koans in order to develop spiritually. I've heard that koans originate from the Zen Buddhist tradition, but what exactly are koans and how can they help me develop spiritually?
Koans come from, as you rightly say, Zen Buddhism, notably Soto Zen and Rinzai Zen, and they have a difference, which is just a minor issue, but it's interesting. In Rinzai Zen, they would offer a koan to an acolyte. So you would see the spiritual teacher and he gives you a koan and you work on this for an inordinate length of time. It guides your introspection. It guides your inner seeking. And of course you return intermittently to the master and you offer your answer to the riddle, as it were, and your answer to the koan of the question, because they're impossible questions to solve with the rational mind. And so long as he or she gets the hang of, you feels for sure that you're not thinking this answer, you passed. If, however, you're trying too hard and you're thinking it up, you've failed, and hence the funny stories in Zen about, getting beaten over the head and pushed back into the meditation room, into the Zendo to try again for another 10 years or whatever, they're great stories. In Soto Zen, which I know a little bit more about, they say, Dogen said, who's the Zen patriarch, said, the koan arises in everyday life. So that's a wonderful idea. You don't get presented with a riddle or an impossible paradox to work with. You just notice that always in everyday life the koan arises, or rather, if you stay deeply in your awareness of presence, which is responding to what's arising in the present moment, then it presents you with a koan. So long as you're really there, you're going to hit the edge of paradox. The contradiction will come up at some point. And when it does, of course, you rest there, because, as I've said and written several times, paradox is the borderline between consciousness and unconsciousness, or perhaps better put, between the human and the spiritual. So when you hit paradox and you just can't make sense of it, and you think, your mind says drop it because it doesn't make sense, and your intuition says this is lovely, or this is beautiful, or this stops me thinking, but either way it's a impossible obstacle. This is the place to stay in, because this is the seashore. On the one hand, here's the ocean. On the one hand, here's the land. Now meditate there, meditate on the shoreline. If you can't meditate on the shoreline, a lake or a river or a stream, but this is a very, very empowered place to sit in the middle. There's the paradox. There's the essence of the koan. And the koan is an artificial, or it's a man-made, or in Soto Zen, a naturally arising indication of the paradox of the human experience. And the human experience is that we're both human and divine. And what do we make of that? How do we live that? Is that divided loyalty, or can we find a way of bringing those two together in some kind of synthesis? Does that answer the question?
Beautifully.
Did I get there? Okay.
Beautiful. Good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.